What's going on, you guys? I want to talk about the Hollywood Reporter article that came out last Friday and why it made me really angry about this situation. And it's one of those things where if you read the article, it's a little unsettling in the sense of how they kind of misdirected a lot of the narrative of what's happening right now in the Justin Baldoni Blake Lively case. But before we go into that, one of the things that the article mentioned was the actress Jenny Slate. Jenny Slate was one of the cast members of It Ends With Us, and she was also potentially a star witness on Team Blake's side about the sexual harassment case. And what's odd about this article, it doesn't really make her look very good in this article at all. In fact, if I was Jenny Slate right now, I'd be kind of furious and upset of being dragged into this case. Because what they wrote about her did not put her at the best light at all. In fact, it kind of made her look like a very entitled celebrity Karen. So let's read what they wrote about Jenny Slate. It wasn't just Baldoni who ran into issues when interacting with cast members. THR has learned more about the nature of the complaint that It Ends With Us actress Jenny Slate lodged, which is referenced in court documents, but with Slate's name redacted. It stemmed from an interaction with Heath. Heath is Jamie Heath, the executive producer of the movie, about the apartment Slate had rented in New York City where It Ends With Us was shooting. Slate, who has a toddler, told him she wasn't thrilled with the space she had rented, but that moving wasn't an option because she didn't want to lose the sizable security deposit, around $15,000. So that's a valid concern, right? If you have a toddler, if you're a mom, you're very aware that your kid runs around everywhere, and maybe your apartment has stairs or places and nooks and crannies you can get in. Every mother who has a toddler experiences these concerns. But here's what's interesting. Heath informs Slate that Wayfarer would reimburse her for the lost security deposit so she could find a better accommodations. But apparently, he made the offer using language that made Slate so uncomfortable. Really? What did he say? So sources say he focused so intensely on the sanctity of motherhood and Slate's role as a mother that she filed a complaint to the film's distributor, Sony, about the incident. See, that does not make Jenny Slate look good at all in this situation. I feel like somebody really threw her under the bus by exposing this, by leaking what happened, whoever reported this, because, the people who are following this case can see right through everything. We see it as it is. You see an entitled celebrity complaining after being reimbursed for $15,000 that she was uncomfortable with the language where Jamie Heath used the sanctity of motherhood. Like, that's all you got? This is your complaint? And what's really interesting about this article was that this section was actually edited and modified, unbeknownst to a lot of us following this case, over the weekend. And if you actually go to the article now, the current version changes the wording of this. And so here's from February 24th what this article says. Sources say he focused intensely on the sanctity of motherhood and Slate's role as a mother. According to sources, Sony became aware of Slate's concerns and informed Wayfarer about them. So something's going on behind the scenes. There's some PR battles being fought. Perhaps Jenny Slate's team got wind of this article, and if I was her team, if I was on Jenny Slate's PR team, I would be really, really upset for being dragged into this. Because again, it does not make her look good. And you can see the verbiage, the term complaint was removed, and now Sony just became aware of Slate's concerns. Did Jenny Slate actually file a complaint, or did someone else bring it up? If you look through the article, first of all, it's called Justin Baldoni's Leap of Faith. It's a little unsettling. This is why it kind of made me very angry about this situation, how the media is kind of portraying this, at least through the Hollywood Reporter. is this article focuses almost entirely on Justin Baldoni and the way he behaved on the set. And it had nothing to do with sexual harassment. It just talked about his open faith of him being spiritual and religious in the Baha'i faith, and how it was such a cultural shock and difference for people in Hollywood, the cast members, who weren't used to the openness of Justin Baldoni about how he approached things at a very spiritual level. There's a snippet on this article. Someone quoted, the Justin that I know isn't capable of doing the things he's accused of doing because he truly sees himself as this feminist. But Blake clearly got grossed out. I honestly feel like it was a perfect storm of two opposing personalities. So you can kind of see what's going on here. This whole article is trying to frame Justin Baldoni as this religious guy, spiritual guy who cared about people's feelings. Here's another snippet. When Baldoni and Wayfarer executives hold meetings, they often start by asking participants to go around the table and share something private, something that brings them joy and has nothing to do with their jobs or their career. So again, they're trying to frame the environment of this movie production of Justin. Okay, he's just this really religious guy. It talks about his faith. It talks about how, he did a lot of things that made people uncomfortable. And this whole press PR spin on this story is trying to twist things or at least misdirect the narrative. What I like to, call the elephant in the room, the actual meat of the story. By again, just focusing on his cultural differences of Justin Baldoni versus Hollywood and how it could all have been seen as a giant misunderstanding. And so what I did was I loaded this up into ChatGPT. And here's the prompt that I used. Can you analyze this article for PR research purposes? I want to know the general sentiment of Justin Baldoni versus Blake Lively. Also, how much of the article is about Baldoni versus Lively and how much is positive or negative? And so I pasted the article. So again, let's see what the AI said about this article. Just reading it from a sentiment analysis, black and white, no bias, right? Justin Baldoni, mixed to negative. The article spends significant time discussing Baldoni's connection to the Baha'i faith and how his religious and personal behaviors may have contributed to the conflict. Again, how his views, personal behaviors related to his faith has contributed to the conflict. Right? And it goes on and says, the article also details how his faith-driven approach made people uncomfortable, compares it to Scientology, and highlights allegations of unprofessional conduct on set. Again, asking people how they feel to express moments of joy in meetings. Like that's what they got. That's the spin that they're taking right now. And if you look on Blake Lively's sentiment analysis, it's generally positive with some nuances. Right? It says the article positions her complaint as part of the larger gender equality movement, tying it to the Me Too movement. Right? So another analysis is how much is this article about Baldoni versus Lively? Well, Justin Baldoni, according to ChatGPT, analyzing this article, is probably 65 to 70% of the article. And again, if you read this right now, if you read this article, you can read it for yourself. That's the vast majority of the article. It's just talking about Justin Baldoni's behavior and his background and his faith. And Blake Lively is approximately 30 to 35% of this article. So now let's look at the balance of the positive versus negative framing, according to ChatGPT. Justin Baldoni, more negative than positive. Allegations of unprofessional behavior, awkward religious impositions. Blake Lively, more positive than negative. She is positioned as a whistleblower, according to ChatGPT. And so when I see an article like this, again, I'm thinking about what is the Hollywood machine trying to turn this narrative to soften the blow for potentially Blake Lively, coming out saying, oh, this was all a big misunderstanding. And you can see the machine, the spin, the mainstream media, the legacy media doing their best, playing their part, appeasing to the big players, the powerful people, the people who own these publications, the friends of the friends, the billionaires club who runs Hollywood. You can see them working in this story. But let me get back to what really made me kind of angry about all of this. What really made me angry, though, is how the article kind of, again, didn't address the true elephant in the room, the actual true whale of the story, which is what Blake Lively did, her actions. So let's go and run down some of the things again. Let's run down the brief overview of Blake Lively's actions in this movie, right? She insisted on rewriting scenes in the movie. Soon as pre-production began, she insisted on rewriting scenes. And she admitted that her husband actually rewrote one of the scenes. She insisted and demanded that she decides on her wardrobe. So she wanted wardrobe changes, right? That's what she did. Okay? Seems innocent enough so far, right? Then she demands that she has access to what they call the dailies, which is the raw footage. Something that's typically only given to directors of the movie and editors, right? And this is when things kind of started going downhill because Justin put his foot down and started not caving in to a lot of her demands. And so she came back with her attorneys and she came up with a list of 17 non-negotiable things that Justin Baldoni and the Wayfarer team had to comply by. There's even a list, if you remember, using the verbiage, no more this, no more this, just a list of 30 different bullet points, right? And if you're not familiar, the no more, this is a very low blow. But the fact that she uses the verbiage no more in her lengthy list of demands, no more is actually the name of the nonprofit organization against domestic and sexual violence that Justin Baldoni partnered with for this film. Again, a very, very low blow. Something that he would understand, that he would get the message. Hey, we're not joking around. We're going to mess with you. We're going to gaslight you. We're going to turn this whole narrative around. All right? So what else did she do? Well, then she wanted access to the edit bay with the director. She wanted to hire her own editors as well. So she did, so that they could make her version and cut of the film, right? And what she do then? Well, she goes and screens it to her friends and family. She goes to Book Bonanza, uninvites Justin Baldoni, invites the rest of the cast to screen a movie that she edited with her own editors that Justin Baldoni didn't even get to watch. His own film. The director of the film didn't even get to watch his own film. Then what else happened? Well, Ryan Reynolds. He openly mocks Justin Baldoni in Nice Pool as a character in his latest Deadpool movie, where he's mocking his man bun. He identifies himself as a male feminist in this movie, and it's very clear as day. We can see right through it. That's some complete bullying of Justin Baldoni. So what else happens, right? Well, Blake Lively then threatens to not promote the film if she doesn't get what she wants, which is a huge deal. She refuses to release her name or image on any marketing material, basically not sign a release unless she got what she wanted, right? So what else did she do? Well, she got the original composers fired from the movie. Brian Tyler. There was an article where He mentioned that, or at least some sources close to him mentioned that he was terrified because this is the first time he's ever gotten fired. And the implications of him being fired, even when he completed the score and did everything that he did, just based off of what someone said, an actress in this case wanted to go with someone else, with one of her friends and acquaintances, that he was maybe terrified of even speaking out because he didn't want people to know. And that must have been really embarrassing for this guy, because what else can happen, right? We talk about people being blacklisted in Hollywood. You get a note from a friend's wife who says, hey, let's not use this guy. He's maybe difficult to work with. Maybe he was mean. But word gets around. It's a small industry. So let's see. What else did she demand? Right? She then demanded she gets her own producer credits, PGA producer credits. Again, otherwise she would not promote the film, which they gave her. She demanded the removal of Justin Baldoni from the movie poster. If you look again, Justin Baldoni is no longer on the movie above the title. She also demanded Baldoni would be removed from his own movie premiere. Think about that. The director of the movie, they wanted to segregate him, and they did. They made sure he arrived at an earlier time with only his friends and family. And as soon as Blake Lively came, well, they ushered him down to the basement, where they had to wait out during his own movie premiere and watch his own movie in a separate screening room, segregated from the rest of the cast. And what else happened? Well, the cast, they unfollowed Justin Baldoni. Again, this can't be a coincidence. How does a group of people suddenly unfollow Justin Baldoni? Even the author unfollowed Justin Baldoni, Colleen Hoover. This has to be orchestrated at a level where it's almost like you have to choose as a cast member, right? I would hate to be in their position, because you have a person who has high power, a lot of money, and influence in the industry telling you to choose. Hey, I want you to unfollow Justin Baldoni. That's a very difficult position to be in, because you care as an actor or actress about your career. You understand that if you upset certain people, you're not going to get the roles in the future. You have to trade your own moral compass of what is right and wrong, and potentially make that difficult choice of, do I sell my soul for fame and fortune by appeasing the rich and powerful, or do I make my own decisions and go with the truth or the evidence? And just imagine being in that position where you have to decide, right? So let's continue on. As movie premiere, well, she promotes her own booze brand. It ends with Buzz, or Betty Booze brand, right? Again, using the movie to promote her own companies, while Justin Baldoni is in the basement having his own separate after party that he had to pay for, with only his friends, only his family. What else happened? Well, guess what? The credits are released for It Ends With Us, and who does Blake Lively think other than no other than Gordon Reynolds, Nice Pulls character that he was credited as. Again, mocking Justin Baldoni, right? And so this is when some negative press starts to appear, like, why was Justin Baldoni segregated in his own movie premiere from the rest of the cast? And what does Blake Lively do? Well, her team blames or wants Justin Baldoni to take the fall for these issues on set. So what did she do? Well, they prepare a statement for him to actually release, stating that, hey, it was all his fault. Sorry, We apologize. Blake Lively had nothing to do with this. They acted professionally, and well, they're using his own words against him. Anyone's job but ours. That's part of being man enough. They wrote this statement for him to release as if they were his own words. Can you imagine that happening to you? Let's say you're at work and some people don't like you and they prepare a statement for you to read, to apologize for your own behavior, to apologize for something that you've never done, written by someone else. That's incredibly low. And again, these are again, this is the meat of the story that we're ignoring, that Hollywood is ignoring. They're turning a blind eye to. And so what happens? Well, Justin Baldoni refuses. He puts his foot down. He says, no, I'm not going to apologize for something that I didn't do. That would have been a nail in the coffin, the ultimate nail in his career, if he actually admitted to this and released a statement that someone else wrote for him to release. So what happens after that? Well, the New York Times article comes out. Blake Lively releases her sexual harassment complaint, or actually leaks it to the New York Times, where they write a hit piece against him, telling only one side of the story, not his side of the story. What happens after that? Well, he gets dropped by his talent agency, WME, the same talent agency that Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively is involved in. Gets fired by a billionaire, Ari Emanuel, a very powerful man, setting an example. Hey, you don't mess with us. We get what we want. Otherwise, you're gone. Your career is over. This is the actual story. Let me see if I can draw something here. So this, right here, right? Is the very obvious elephant in the room. And instead of focusing on this, they're focusing on this little thing, little tidbit about how we made people uncomfortable on set. Meanwhile, not addressing all of these things, the actions that Blake Lively did. And that's what really makes me angry about this. The narrative that they're trying to twist in this story. And it's very unsettling. So what are your thoughts? Let me know. Are they actually going to address any of these things? Well, we'll find out when this goes to trial. Thank you for watching. Bye.